What's going on, everyone? So, I know this is a Laker channel, but a big part of Laker history was Gregg Popovich and the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, as somebody that grew up in the 90s and, early 2000s and stuff, I got to witness the battles between the Spurs and the Lakers and Phil Jackson and Gregg Popovich and, just the wars that they had. Right. And every year it was just like, man, we got to play the Spurs again. I hate that. Right. It was just like, and then Tim Duncan or Kobe. Right. Like it's just, there is a lot of intertwined legacy in with the Spurs that, has kind of dissipated over the years. But those that are old enough to remember those days, I mean, there was a real rivalry, a real hatred at times. Right. It wasn't like to the level of like Boston, but man, it was just like you when we played the Spurs, you wanted to smack them, right? There was genuine question and conversation and narrative about Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant and all that stuff, right? But Gregg Popovich, for those that may not know, give you a quick summary. Gregg Popovich has officially stepped down as the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. He is staying with the organization. He is going to be in a presidential role. So you have Buford, who will be the CEO. Gregg Popovich will be the president full-time. And then you'll have Bryant as the GM. And then they're keeping Mitch Johnson as the head coach. So Mitch Johnson will be the successor to Gregg Popovich and the San Antonio Spurs going forward. So now, I think we saw the writing on the wall with Gregg Popovich. He had the health scare, and then he had another one recently, and it was kind of like, that's probably the end of him being the head coach for the San Antonio Spurs for the future. But he is an absolute legend and icon, right? I mean, again, the wars and the battles that the Lakers had against Pop, and, even just the relationship and respect that guys like Kobe had, because you got to remember, he also coached Team USA, right? Like he had a relationship with guys like Shaq and Kobe and, you just LeBron and all these guys, right? Like, so the wars that you saw, even LeBron, right? LeBron's a Laker. LeBron probably still has nightmares about Gregg Popovich, right? Miami Heat play them back-to-back finals. Ray Allen saves the day and then you lose in another one, right? So like, there is this legacy, this icon in Gregg Popovich. Again, he's going to go down as one of, if not the greatest head coaches ever in the history of sports, period. I mean, the guy is a surefire Hall of Famer. The guy has titles on his hand, right? The guy had two separate dynasties, right? Like, and just, it was really this era, and I know, the Spurs they haven't made the playoffs in I think if they don't make the playoffs this year, I think it'll be 8 years. So it's been like 7 years. So I know that there's, newer generations and whatnot probably are like, Tyler, why are you even talking about Gregg Popovich, right? Like, dude, the Spurs haven't been relevant in years, and they haven't been, right? But again, as somebody that grew up in that era, as somebody that got to watch and yell and scream and want to just slam my TV because of Gregg Popovich and Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili and David Robinson and, even guys like Steven Jackson and Bruce Bowen and, it's just like, Boris Diaw, like Gregg Popovich turned Boris Diaw into like, a Sabonis type of guy. Like he was crazy, right? And just like they had that culture. Right, when you thought about the Spurs, you thought about Spurs culture. Like people think of Heat culture, the organization of the Heat, whatnot, so on and so forth, right? And look, that's great, but before Heat culture, it was the Spurs. Spurs were looked at as the organization, right? Like the style of play. It was so boring, right? Everyone just, to me, as somebody that was a diehard just basketball fan, it was beautiful. It was a symphony in motion, right? Just everything, like everyone touches the ball. It's just, but compared to some of these other teams, you coming off the Showtime Lakers and the Chicago Bulls and stuff like that. It's just like people are like, this is so bland. This is so plain bagel, but it worked, right? Like time after time after time after time, we saw them hoist the Larry O'Brien, and every time it just ate me, right? Like it just, and again, they were the culture. They were the standard. It was just like you knew every year they were going to be one of, or if not the best team. Every year they had a chance to win a championship. Every year, they're in that. It's like, it was so frustrating. And then every other year they would win, right? Like literally, like every other year they were winning a championship. Right? And so, to just grow up again and see that and just have this distaste for the San Antonio Spurs and Gregg Popovich. It's funny just because, I'm going down memory lane here and I can literally play back moments, like Derek Fisher's shot. And, it's just like think of all the iconic, legendary Laker moments against the San Antonio Spurs, right? Like, for those that are old enough to remember and have lived it, or, you're enough of a student of the sport to have looked and found those moments. I mean, there's just so many things. Think of the playoff battles that we had, the wars that we had against San Antonio. I mean, even regular season games. Kobe talked about how much he hated the Spurs and, and just wanted to like lay it on them every time. But it was a respect thing. It wasn't like, oh man, this bum team, right? Like I'm gonna go drop 70 on this bum team. Like, no, it was that respect. It was, Kobe hearing the noise of like, oh, you think Tim Duncan, huh? But Tim Duncan was still probably the best power forward ever to play the game. I mean, Mr. Fundamental, right? That guy was, you want to talk about boring and plain bagel. That was as boring and plain bagel as it got with Gregg Popovich. Or with Tim Duncan, right? But it worked. He won, right? And again, just to see all the legendary battles, time after time after time after time, times that the Spurs eliminated us, and I had to, watch Gregg Popovich walk up there and shake Phil's hand or whatever, and just, and then just the times that we would eliminate them and just be like, like it was this moment in history that was just forever cemented, right? It was this moment in history that was just so beautiful, and looking back, right? In the moment, you're just kind of living through it, right? Like you just kind of, you're not really taking in, right? So you don't know what you got till it's gone. You're not really taking in the gist of it all, right? Like, and then, now you look and, Phil Jackson is, he's hasn't coached or been a part of an organization for years now. Now Gregg Popovich, right? He's stepping away at 76 years old. And it's just like, one, it's a sign like, man, I'm getting old, right? And two, it's a sign of like, the changing of the guards almost, right? It's the end of an era. It's, wow, like that. You're talking about one of the last, dinosaurs, but like the head coaches, right? Like he's one of the last greats, one of the last kings, one of the last, conquerors, right? And it's so impressive to see, the legacy and career that he is leaving behind, and just everything that he has done and stood for. And just, I mean, we all like, Pop is one of those guys, you don't hate Pop, right? Like, Pop is one of the most likable guys in all of basketball. And, just an incredible legacy and icon that he is and that he has. It's been amazing to watch and see. But again, I know that this is a Laker channel, so I know that there's going to be some people that are like, dude, like, stick to the Lakers. But again, to me, this was about the Lakers. Right, you talk about the end of a history in which the Lakers were very involved in. Right, like again, this is not just some random coach on a Tuesday retiring. This is literally Gregg Popovich was a thorn in the Lakers' side for years, decades. Right, like he was such a thorn for the Lakers. Every time he played the Spurs, you were like, ah, man, and I had to pay my respects. I had to, give my bon voyage. Again, he's still around. Like, he didn't pass away or anything like that, and I hope he lives another 20 years and is the president of basketball operations and all that stuff, right? So, but I just, as somebody that is, yes, I'm a diehard Laker fan, but I am also just a basketball fan and somebody that genuinely loves the sport and the history, right? I love it. That's why, I talk about other teams. I do dive into other things and stuff like that. And I talk about Gregg Popovich because, I thought this was, my upbringing. Like Gregg Popovich was who I saw every other day, right? Like on the TV screen, getting ready to play the Lakers, right? Or hearing on the radio or whatever, right? Like it just, he is forever a staple in LA lore, right? Like, so no, I had to give the nod, the proper send off to Pop. But anyway, as always, let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. I know a lot of you will get it. I know a lot of you are gonna be like, yeah, this was exactly like, great video type thing. So, to me, that is worth it. And again, just want to give a proper send off. But let me know your thoughts and opinions of Gregg Popovich down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos. I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.